let me say, I think it's the hand of Almighty Allah. If I tell you otherwise, I'll just be telling you lies. This is quite sincerely I say it, people don't believe. I'm not a very serious person, you know, because I sometimes begin to ask myself, 1969, when I ventured into sitting for these O levels, if I had failed, would I have tried again? Given my character then, I don't think I would have bothered myself, you know. So along the line, I have this spirit of adventure that I know. But if I tell you that I'm a very hard-working person and this, my brother, one of my brothers in Zaria, when I have a presentation to make, a paper to present, maybe in Kano or somewhere, late in the night, I'm still writing the paper, you know. That's my own character. So alhamdulillah, of course, I won't say, I don't think there is anything special driving me, but I think if there's anything to say, it's my destiny. You know, I won't tell you anything otherwise. Well, that question, I think, is to be answered by other people, you know. It's to be answered by other people, not me. But of course, one of the things that has fairly defined, one of the things that have defined my own tenure so far is this spirit of participation. You know, as a traditional rulers, there is no really serious opportunity for mass people's participation. But since I came in, I had committees, development committees, security committee, and so on. So if there are problems, I don't bother myself. I just call the chairman of the committee or the secretary, and before you know it, that problem is solved. So that, I think, it's something that I'm happy with. And I noticed too that across this local government, other people, anywhere village you go now, there's a problem. They say they are going to contact the committee, you know. So I think that's something that I'm happy with. I'm not too sure if I'm proud of it, but I'm happy with. Again, we have a system here where I believe people are not really, when they take a case to the traditional ruler, people are not given the opportunity to defend themselves. You know, in many cases when somebody comes and frames a lie, it is accepted. And when the other person comes, if he comes at all, he's intimidated. But I believe I should give everybody a fair hearing. And I notice a lot of times people who bring cases against others are the ones who are at fault. They will come weeping, crazy man has tried to kill me. So when you now review the case, you call the other person, you find that this person who brought to this case is the one who is actually guilty. So all these are minor things, but I think they also add up to something significant. Well, as you have said rightly, I think it is even it has become a tradition. People you help are the people who will paint you very bad colors and so on. But at a point you don't really need to. What doesn't need to? I don't bother myself about that. And I saw this quotation. Well, I'm not too sure. It was a translated something in the Quran that says, "People you help are the ones who will betray you." I don't remember which surah or what, but I remember seeing that. And things like that actually convince me. But don't forget, maybe you help 10 people, and then 8 of them turned against you. You will find 2, at least 2, that will appreciate what you did for them. And what the level of appreciation they will show you will go beyond the lack of appreciation of these other 8 or so people. So that's how it is. Definitely, some people say, "Oh, I won't help these people. Why should you help them?" Well, if you are in a position to help, why not? Why not? You know. So that's my own attitude. I don't really have any hobby. Maybe my hobby has become my passion now, farming. I have a fish pond. But then I asked myself, when am I not busy? And because after Maghrib, you sit down, talk till 9 or after 9. Wake up in the morning, particularly on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Really, there's no specific time. So I am not telling you that I have any definite hobbies. I don't really. But something I do, which may really be defined as a hobby, I take my car and drive around once in a while. Take my vehicle and drive around once in a while. That is a hobby because people say, this old man, why are you driving? But it's a hobby and exercise too, because it sort of redefines my, sort of works on my brain, you know, makes me sharper and focused. You know, when you are driving, you should be using all your senses, you know. So I do that once in a while. I was happy that I was selected, but let me say something which not many people would want to believe. Within my own life plans, I never planned to be Emir. I never really planned to be Emir. It was a coincidence. Planning that you now be looking at yourself to be Emir. I didn't really have that plan. But when the opportunity came, I went in for it. Why not? But it wasn't a passion of a lifelong passion. I know there are people who are passionate to the extent of even if they can harm the incumbent, they'll do that. But honestly, I never had that serious plan of being a traditional ruler. Of course, by birth, circumstance of birth and so on, of course, I come from a royal family, a long-standing royal family here. So it's not surprise. It wouldn't be surprising if you see along the line you become an Emir. But it wasn't something that I was really looking forward to. But when I got it, I was happy. And particularly it came for me at a more convenient time. You know, it came at a convenient time. I had disengaged from the university, disengaged also from my NNDC thing. So I was looking forward to concentrating on my consultancy because I had all the contacts then. So that's what I was looking forward to. Well, I don't think there's any particular occurrence, but to say that I did what I normally wouldn't do, I can't think of any. But something happened here, January 8th, 2020, I believe, 2020 or 2000, when some armed uniformed people killed 3 youth, but eventually we got to know that it was 4 from this community. We have this what they call border drill. They are made up of the army, custom, police, and so on. And there was disagreement between them and some of our drivers, commercial drivers, not far from here. And so that escalated into a kind of crisis. And when I was told, the DPO called me, I was told, so my first reaction, I looked for someone to drive me, but I didn't really see. So my first reaction was to take my car, my vehicle, drive to the DPO's office. So it was around 12 at night. The DPO said that so I said we should go to, because about 7, 8 or 9 of the boys were shot, apart from the ones that were killed. So they were taken to a private clinic. So I said, let's go and assess the level of damage. As we were going, some of the chaps, when they saw this police vehicle, they said, no, they started stoning the vehicle. So I told him, DPO, just go back. So that's how I drove 12 to the hospital, saw them, and as at that time, this main road that you follow here, there was a lot of tension. They were doing bonfires and so on. So one of my younger brothers joined me. but I was driving. So we went to that road. These boys were very wild, very, very wild. But I had no choice but to go there, talked to them. Of course, that's the benefit of being a teacher, a lecturer in the university. And one of the most violent universities you could have before was ABU. So if you could survive there, I thought this was, use psychology on them. This blah, blah, blah. So they removed the burning tires and so on, up to 2 or 3 places. That was a risk. Definitely I wouldn't have done that. But then something came into my head. If if there was no such an intervention, honestly the story would have been completely different. Anything I did was within, I believe, within my competence, my level of competence. So it was not much change. I didn't see that much sharp change. Because the change now is between when I was in Tanzania and now that I'm in India. Now, of course, you have to listen to people more. You have to sympathize with people more. I do many things that are inevitable. People come with their problems, whatever time is, you have to listen to them. But before now, of course, I didn't have to do that, you know. Before now, I didn't have to do that. So those are the kind of things I think that defined the changes in my life. But I think I moved fairly, perfectly, slowly, and even, you know, movement. When I was, as I said, after primary school, I was just teaching. I wasn't missing anything because I had some money and I could buy my, what do you call them, bell-bottom trousers and high-heel shoes and so on. So when I probably would have had a sharp difference in my life when, say, my classmates came out and we were doing better, I didn't have that experience. We all came out. I went to, when I was in the University of Ibadan, there are some of my classmates in primary school who came, but were behind me. You know, they had the opportunity of going to secondary school, blah, blah, blah. And there was one, I'm saying this just to show how lucky one was. I think he went to KC for his secondary school. And he came, he was admitted to read economics too. At that time, I don't know of now, there's a maths program, maths course. I think every university has that. EC 131, I don't know, Echo 131, something like that. And if you didn't pass that, late Professor Aboyade, you can't read economics. So people were given opportunity to recite that. If you failed it, look for another course, what they call soft course. And one of that, this chap who was very brilliant, and he failed this. I had to read another course. I won't mention which course he did. So you see, the opportunities he had, I didn't have any of that opportunity. I actually taught myself mathematics, taught myself everything. So then, of course, I went to the graduated and moved on like that. So there was no sharp change in my life. There are things that are within my competence I can look up to. So that's how it is. I contested for Senate. Let me be jumping. In 2003, I lost. They said I lost. So maybe if I had become a senator, it would have redefined my worldview. You know, it would have redefined my worldview. But as again, alhamdulillah, it has not changed my worldview at all, at all. So I'm saying that I believe I had a movement, fairly smooth movement in life, that I wasn't intimidated by any position or responsibility I came to meet along the line. Well, of course, one of the wish would be to reduce the poverty level, significantly reduce the poverty level, significantly reduce the ignorance level. and of course significantly reduce the health challenges that are all over the place. I know some of them are here. They will say, you should be rich and so on and so forth. But there's no wish you can make than to talk about reducing poverty, because if you reduce the poverty level, you'll reduce virtually everything in life. What the advice is, first of all, not just listen to anybody who is old, but it may just be saying two of the very obvious things. They should also know that these elderly people were once youth. These elderly people were once youth, So if you now try to advise them out of your own life experience, they say this is old school. So an old man doesn't know anything. But again, it's a blessing to be old. As somebody was saying, if you insult me that I'm an old person, I say thank you very much. I pray that you don't get old. So I think the youth should listen more to the elders and so on. But let's be frank. I tend to understand the youth much more than some of my contemporaries, because every life, every stage, every period in life has what you call deviance. Okay, there is behavior that is deviant, anti-establishment behavior. Musicians, people tinting their hair, and so on and so forth. I don't see it as being out of the ordinary. It's just a passing phase. Just a passing phase. Because you cannot be youth all your life. You can't be youth all your life. And so I appreciate them, and I appreciate the fact that whatever any youth is doing had been done before. Whatever any youth is doing had been done before. So I tend to sympathize more with the youth. Of course, every period in life you find misguided youth. Okay, you find anti-social people. So it's not just this period, any period at all. Okay, so I think the youth have to be more focused, but the youth have far more challenges today than ever. As I said, when I graduated, okay, don't even go to that. When I finished primary school, I got a job, not houseboy, not cleaner, but something that I could call a job. And when I graduated from university, I had 4 or 5 jobs waiting for me. Okay? Today, nobody can boast of that. At all. So you see, that kind of thing will really make people very sad, very mad at the society. It's very mad at the society. So I think the youth I think the advice really is to the elders, we should try to understand and appreciate the youth more, because every society, there was a time we were wearing very tight trousers, very high shoes, and the elders then would say, what type of something is this? There was a time we were dancing boogaloo, dancing this, dancing that. So again, I see this as a passing phase in life. The only problem is when you are gone beyond that and you still behave like that. That's where the problem is, But for me, for instance, I appreciate when people, and some of my kids and so on, when they are talking, and I said, one of my stepdaughters here, not long ago, she was playing this buga, so she was playing Cough. Kiss Daniel. I said, who is this? He said, it's Kiss Daniel. I said, the Buga man. So they were surprised that, not that I took any interest in, but somehow along the line, it's something I've been interested in. So I can appreciate what they are doing. This was now playing Buga, small time they all forget about it too. So that life is not a static thing, it's so dynamic. So it is we, the elders, I think, we keep blaming, I don't think, if there's any blame, it should be You know, drugs, for instance. Drugs has been existing long time. I knew when I was in Kaduna, I knew chaps. Of course, the complexity of the drugs have increased, no doubt about it. But I knew chaps who were Indian hemp addicts as far back as the 60s, you know, and I'm sure before then. So these are things that we need to understand, you know, in order to change for the better.